I am 40 years old, not me personally. Although if I did look this good at 40, I'll tell you what, I'd be telling you my skincare routine. That's for sure. All right. So I am 40 years old and had an unconventional upbringing as a ward of the state throughout my childhood. What is a ward? Is that like
it means that you're dependent on the state. So basically, that means you're an orphan.
Oh, okay.
That you don't have parents.
That's much more sad than what I thought. I was thinking like a ward. It's like it's a mage or like a wizard or something like that. I don't know.
No, like think of Robin was Batman's ward.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, dude, I'm like,
he's a wizard. No,
I'm like, that'd be a sick upbringing, man. I'm like, dude, crime fighting like that.
No, it means you're an orphan. You're an orphan of the state.
Gotcha. Not as great.
Not as great.
All right, so let's do this. So, not a Batman and Robin story, unfortunately. I have never lived with my parents, and I moved between various homes and facilities until I was about 14 years old.
It's tough.
I know, right? From then on, I couch surfed and lived wherever I could find shelter. During this time, I socialized, partied, and navigated life without any guidance on finance. I took out credit cards as soon as I could just to survive, without understanding the impact on my future. I've always held a job since I was legally able to work starting at 16. I've been employed continuously. Recently, making 10 years at one of the big 3 tech companies. It's amazing.
Nice.
Despite being skilled at my job, I struggle with self-promotion and negotiating raises. Likely hindered my career progress due to my difficulty in self-assessment during my company evaluations. And additionally, I've never really prioritized learning about retirement plans or advancing in my career because I couldn't afford that deduction.
I couldn't afford the deduction. Have you ever done self-assessments during like company things?
No. Tell me about it.
I think they're really silly. Yeah, self-assessments are like basically, when you're like every year your boss is supposed to sit you down and be like, hey, this is what you're doing well at, this is what you're not supposed to be doing well at. And obviously, if you're a good boss, you're doing it more than once a year. If you're only giving your person feedback once a year, you're a pretty shitty boss. But formally once a year, that's fine, but you should be doing it every single day. But a self-assessment is basically they give you a piece of paper and they say, how do you think you're doing? And then you get to fill out this nice piece of paper about how you think you're doing. And then they go, yeah, wrong. This is how you're doing.
Rug pull. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks.
I think they're very silly to have someone self-assess.
Like, you're telling me I'm not a god in this workplace? What are you saying? It's like, sir, you've been late 6 times this week. It's like, what? Okay. So a bit of history. I became a father at 23 while renting a room. Soon after, congratulations on being a father. Soon after, I moved into a duplex for about 5 years while working in a cellular industry. Although I had a stable income, I lacked financial knowledge still, and I never really saved much beyond the occasional treats for my family. Later, I rented a house and had my second child, but living paycheck to paycheck still persisted. Joining one of the big 3 tech companies initially improved my financial situation, but I continued to struggle with managing my money and understanding the financial tools like retirement plans, IRAs, and 401ks. Yes, making more money does help.
Yes. So he said he was 23 at the time, and now he's 40. Okay. So he's just kind of going back. He's 40 now. Okay. Good. That's a little confused. Cool.
Okay. My rental experience. Okay. Here we go. My rental experience has been quite unfortunate. I've moved about 5 times since my oldest son was born, often due to homes being sold out from underneath us with little notice. Is that legal? I thought it was illegal.
If you're living on like a month to month, typically it's 30 days.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I don't know. Every contract's different, right? Yeah. Most contracts has a 60-day breach, but some of them have 30-day breaches. Some of them you can go immediately. It really depends on the contract.
That's sad. These moves have depleted my savings, and they've depleted my savings that I managed to accumulate over the years, with my last move costing over $5,000 in deposits and moving expenses. Yeah, moving is very expensive. Storage, renting the U-Haul. Yeah.
People don't think about that too. When they're thinking like, oh, I'm just going to move to this another place because it's cheaper or something like that. It's like, you have to think about how much, not only money, but time and effort. And you have to calculate your time and effort and what that's worth too.
Bingo.
But back to the story.
Bingo. Living in the expensive Pacific Northwest. You know a little bit about that, right, Chris?
I do know a little bit about that. I used to live in Sacramento, which is quite close to Oregon, which is Pacific Northwest.
Okay. Housing costs are exuberant, and the yearly rent increases add to the financial strain that they do. I don't own a home. I finance my car. I have student loans and only possess a few assets. I'm worried about working indefinitely to support my family, especially since I need a home office to do my remote job. I know for me personally, my grandfather on my mom's side, and back then, he ran his own business, camera shop. There were no pensions, so he worked all the way up until he couldn't, and then he collected Social Security. So I mean, it's definitely this is a real thing for a lot of people in America right now.
Well, I want you to think about this. Like retirement is a fairly new phenomenon. I mean, the 401k is only like 40 years old.
It's crazy.
But before that, and like before pensions, like it was you worked until you couldn't work. And the reason you couldn't work is because you were going to die. Like that was just the way it worked. There wasn't a retirement. So
it's crazy.
I know it's sad to think I'm gonna have to work till I die, but it's because you're comparing yourself to other people who say they retired young, not comparing yourself to the way that we've lived our entire humanity, which was you work till you die. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Despite having over a decade in IT experience and a Google IT certification, I earn around $27 per hour. Now, depending on where you live in the country, $27 per hour can be great or can be horrible, right? For me, 27 would be really great here. Not bad. I would really enjoy that. 27 over in California, that's rough, buddy. That's rough. I feel stuck and uncertain about what steps to take next. I'm just looking for some advice, and I'm thinking I'm out of time. What should I do? What should my first steps be? Any advice would help. Thank you. I'm eager for your guidance. I love that. We love here at the Five Guys, we love people who are willing to learn and better their lives. So props to you, my guy. From T skills in hand, yet life feels like sand. Working big three tech, but finances feel a wreck. All right, that one. The riddles always trip me up. No matter how many times I say it, they always get me. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to do it. It's hard to do a good rhyme.
It's tough. I wish I came back as Dr. Seuss, but unfortunately I'm not that guy. But what do you think, Chris? What do you think?
So big three tech companies, I'm going to assume it's either Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. With him saying he has a Google IT certificate, I'm going to assume it's Google. So let's just go there.
Yeah.
So $27 an hour to work at Google. That's $56,000 a year before taxes. Yeah, I could see where like this might be hard to do if you're working in the Pacific Northwest and probably a more expensive area. But one thing that first off, before we get into any of this, you really need to think about where you started. Like, I know that you're not where you want to be, but you started as a ward of the state. You were passed around from family to family your entire life, never learned anything about money. And now you have a wife, you have 2 kids, and you are supporting them to the best of your ability. We cannot discount that. You have come up so far from where you started. And unfortunately, it's very sad, but the average of someone's success can usually be determined by their zip code, by where they were brought up. And you were brought up moving from house to house, not learning a lot, constantly being thrown into different, I'm sure, turmoils. I'm sure you have a bunch of traumas that are still there, still lingering. But you overcame all that. And now look where you are. So I don't know who you're comparing yourself to, but you need to compare yourself to who you were yesterday and compare yourself to where you started. Think about the other kids who you saw that were in the orphanage maybe growing up. Where are they today? And where are you in relation to them?
Yeah, that's a tough upbringing. That's tough. That's really tough.
It's really tough. And remember that getting better is going to take time, but every little bit helps, and it's never too late to start. Again, it sounds like you built a great life in general, and you should be so proud of that. There's no reason you shouldn't be. And being good at your finances, it's going to be a step-by-step process, and it's going to take some time, and that's okay. I'm sure that's the reason you're listening to the Five Guys, is to get better at it. And you're going to get better at it over time, but it's going to take consistent effort and work. But what we need to do is we need to shift our attitude, because you're 40 years old and you sound like you're about to die.
Yeah.
You sound like you're defeated. At 40 years old, 2 kids and a wife. You have everything in the world to fight for right now. Every single thing that you have is right here, and you have to just get started. What it sounds like is right now we're blaming the reason that we can't settle down on a house, on renting or owning a home. That has not much to do with it. $56,000 a year to live off of for a family of four in the Pacific Northwest is going to be tough. So what can we do right now? What classes can we take? Can we talk to our managers? What can we do to start promoting ourselves? You have over a decade of experience in IT. That is not a job that is like, oh, well, sorry, there's not many jobs out here available. There are a bunch of different things. If you need to leave your current one big tech company to go to another, that might have to happen. But I also want you to remember, before you do that, let's think of all the benefits that you have. You get to work from home with and be home near your kids. That's pretty big. If you're renting a house, do you really need to have a room, an office that's only dedicated to your office?
Yeah.
Can you maybe do it in a corner of, I don't know, the living room or a corner of your own master bedroom?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why people say, like, I need to have a bigger house with an office in order to support it because I work from home.
Yeah.
I understand it's sacrifice, but all of life is a sacrifice. You can have anything you want, but you could not have everything.
Yeah.
And you even said when you started working for one of the big three companies, you started making more money and your financial situation improved, but then it immediately went back to the same situation. And the reason for that is because, let's say you went from, I don't know, $40,000 to $60,000. And now you're like, oh, I finally made it. I had that $20,000 that's going to get me there. But then your lifestyle inflated immediately to $60,000. And that's the reason you didn't have any money to put into your IRA, into your 401k, into your retirement plan. Had you gotten the $20,000 raise, had you been working with me, I would have said, all right, cool. Let's take 10% of that or 20% of that or whatever amount we can take, and let's move that to our 401k, not even see it. But you didn't do that. And now you've absorbed it into your life. And I can guarantee you, if you get another promotion that goes to $80,000, $100,000, and you're not mindful of this, it's going to happen again. You're going to find yourself in the same exact situation. So when it comes to first steps, what do I need to do? I think we know what we need to do. Do we have a spending plan? Do we know how much money is going out every month? We know how much money is coming in. $27 an hour. If you're working a 40-hour work week, that's $56,000 some odd cents. Do you know what your tax rate is? Do you know what your take home is at the end of the year? Have you looked at your tax returns? Pull out your 2023 tax returns and see what the take home was. Know that number. Start tracking your money. Start knowing how much money is going out. And you're not tracking your money to create a budget, because a budget is backwards thinking. It does nothing. It literally does nothing. But when you actually track your spending and you look at your spending, you say, oh, wow, I spent all this money on this stuff. And you can categorize it and say, that stuff is not worth doing. I don't want to do that anymore. I recently read an article of a way that people, this one person categorizes their spending that I really liked. I don't think I'm going to use it for myself, but I'm definitely going to talk to my clients about it. Whenever they spend something, they give it a category of a 1, a 2, or a 3. A 1 is, and they look at it 24 hours after making that purchase. A 1 is, I would definitely do that again. That was so worth the money.
Mm-hmm.
A 2 is, I could live without it or not. And a 3 was, I should not have bought that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the month, they get to go look back and look at all of their 3s, look at all their 2s, look at all their 1s. And if they have 1s and all those things that they really, really liked, great, let's put more money to that.
Yeah.
But they have a bunch of 3s. And so many people, from what I found, is they're spending all their money on the 3s, on the things that don't matter, because they think it's going to bring momentary happiness. And all of their money that should be going to 1s, should be going to the thing that's moving your life, is going to a bunch of 3s.
Yeah.
And you're inflating your life for bullshit that you don't care about. It isn't actually bringing you joy.
Perfectly said. Perfectly
maybe
said.
Start to work on that. Once we know how much money we have, how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and be mindful of that, then we can start to decide how much money we want to put towards our IRA, towards non-qualified accounts. Right now, at your age, I would be trying to put as much money as I possibly can into either the 401k or the IRA before maxing out the non-qualified account. And the one thing that I do like about 401ks, depending on your company and what options they have for you, is that it comes out before you even get the paycheck.
Yep.
If you have an IRA, you have to get that paycheck and then you have to move the money yourself. With an IRA, with a 401k, say you make $2,000 or $1,000 in the paycheck and you want to contribute 3%, well, $30 of that paycheck is automatically going to come out and you're only going to get $970. And let's say we can keep on building up on that. 3% is not a lot. I grant you, it's not a lot, but it's taking time to build these muscles over time. You're not going to walk into the gym, see the most jack guy in the corner squatting 600 pounds and be like, I'm going to do that next. No, you have to start with just the bar. If you get underneath the weight, not knowing what you're doing, you're going to fuck yourself up. And it's the same thing in finances. But only in finances do people think they can be good at it, because luck can allow you to be good at it for a certain amount of time. Only in the market stock market can you walk in, buy some random stock, and it go up 20% tomorrow, and you think that you're a genius. If you try doing that on a sports field, if you try walking up against an NFL player and say, I bet I can beat you in a 40, you will be beaten so fast and we will know it immediately. But in the stock market can be irrational much longer than the average person can remain solvent. Meaning that you can look like you're doing well for longer than you should be, because that's just the way the market works. Only by buying good companies and holding for the long term can we actually guarantee that we're going to grow our wealth. But if you're saying, I'm just going to figure this out really quick, and you're trying to get the quick get rich quick scheme, I can't guarantee you what's going to get you to being financially successful, but I can guarantee you what's going to get you to failure.
Yeah.
What's going to get you to failure is not paying attention to how much money you're spending, not paying attention to how much you're making, and then not investing the difference into different assets. And this investing thing, it's very, very deep. So is the making money thing. So is the spending money thing. These are all very deep subjects that we could spend multiple podcasts on going to each one of them. And you need to start working towards it yourself. But please, 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 please don't think that I'm harping on you. I am not. Look at where you have come. Look at where you've come from where you started. You're a freaking superhero, dude. I may have not have I grew up, I was so lucky. And I look back on my childhood, so lucky to grow up in America to two parents that love me. You know, we may not have had all the money in the world. We certainly didn't. And while I could look at other people who had a bunch of money and be jealous of them, it doesn't matter to me, because this is the family that I did have, and I wouldn't change them for the world, because I knew that they loved me. And, you know, hopefully you found someone in your spouse and in your kids that love you. I know your kids love you, guaranteed. Hopefully your spouse loves you too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But keep on serving them every single day. Keep on trying to get better. Not for you. Not for you. Get better for them.
Yeah. Bingo. Bingo. Well, perfectly said, Chris. I hope that information helps you, man. Good luck. You got this. And maybe we'll hear back from you in a few years saying, freaking did it. Freaking did it.
Yeah, freaking did it. Got a big job, got a huge promotion. I'm really excited for it. But dude, you got to start just working at it. You deserve more money. You definitely do. And you have the experience to get it. You have some limiting beliefs. I think that has to do with your childhood. And I know I've said it a few times, and I know that it seems to turn some people off, but like, you might want to consider therapy.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, consider therapy and try to focus on your limiting beliefs, because right now you're expending a lot of energy looking at what others have and wishing you had what others have, rather than putting that energy into getting what others have.
Bingo. It's true. It's very true.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.